Hey little buddies, I'm Zion. How are you today? I hope you're doing okay. Do you see my hat? Do you know what kind of hat this is? It's a straw hat. I like to wear it on sunny days. Do you have a hat? Put it on. If you don't have a hat, that's okay. We can just put on our thinking caps. It's time to read with Zion on the Big Lake channel. I wrote this story just for you. It's called Thunder and Lightning Dreams in San Carlos. It had been a very long and very hard day for Alyssa. Alyssa had worked so hard, she had nearly worked her tiny fingers to the point that they were swollen now. The days were always long and tiring for the little girl. Tough. Her life was hard. Alyssa lived in the beautiful town of San Carlos, Mexico. Her tiny house was a turquoise blue, which matched the lovely blue bay where she lived, lying off the Sea of Cortez. Alyssa pulled up her long, kinky, dreaded red hair to the top of her head and tied it with a beautiful yellow bow. It was her favorite bow because it had a beautiful yellow rose in the middle. Alyssa wore it every night to bed to keep it safe from the harsh climate. If she wore it at night, she could feel like a beautiful Mexican princess. She hoped that one day she might look like some of the other beautiful girls at their quinceañeras when she turned 15 years old. But for now, she had the beautiful amarillo, which means yellow in Spanish, bow, and she loved it so. Trade winds were picking up this evening and blowing over the beautiful Azul Bay. It was an unusually breezy and cool night, especially after the scorching hot, blazing, baking sun in the earlier part of the day. The cool 62-degree night was peaceful and inviting. Alyssa walked over and opened wide wooden shutters to receive all the cool evening's air. The moon would be full tonight, and she knew the tide waters would be strong and noisy the later it went into the evening. As she stood there looking at the water, she became hungry. So she sat down on the floor to cook dinner. Alyssa didn't have a table or a chair. She didn't even have a stove. But she used what she had. Alyssa used pour stones that she gathered from the beach outside. The stones often rolled down from the mountains surrounding the cove. The porous rocks were filled with tiny holes, which helped to keep the fire going. She used some of the leftover straw from the hats and baskets she weaved to sell during the day, and a little bit of dry driftwood that she collected from the beach, that she kept in a tiny pail in the corner. Her meal tonight would basically be just like every night: refried beans, rice, and corn tortillas, and a bottle of her favorite Jarritos lime soda. After finishing her meal, Alyssa walked over to a shelf where she kept water to wash up. She then headed over and closed the door and shutters and started to prepare for bed. She quickly picked up a woven rug and rolled it out as her pallet to sleep on. By the time she pushed open the very last inch of the soft pallet, her head hit her hand, and she quickly fell asleep. As the night wore on, Alyssa fell into a deep, deep sleep. She had been so incredibly exhausted from the day that she barely noticed the heavy rain that was pouring outside her little house. She was sleeping so hard, she hadn't noticed that the winds were now howling past her little blue house. She didn't even notice that the seaweed and grass were blowing against her door outside. She hadn't a clue that the lightning was lighting up the black stormy sky like a fireworks show. Alyssa had been so tired from the day that she just kept sleeping and dreaming. All of a sudden, she heard a loud explosive crash that seemed to shake the entire earth. As she opened her eyes briefly, she thought she saw an image across the room. As the lightning flashes flickered in and out, she tried to stay awake, but she was just too sleepy. As Alyssa fell back to sleep, she was dreaming of drinking her favorite lime soda and singing a song and dancing around in her most beautiful yellow bow. She dreamed of being a beautiful Mexican princess and twirling around in beautiful yellow shoes to match her bow, and picking up dozens of yellow roses falling from the sky to match her bow. And suddenly, she heard a loud squeak. She thought it must have been the shutters. Then she heard the squeak grow louder and louder, and she opened her eyes again and saw what she thought was a guinea pig wearing a rose gold crown studded with silver diamonds. She blinked her eyes and sat up. She then reached over to her dinner plate, which was lying beside her, and offered the princely guinea pig some of her beans. Alyssa thought the guinea pig prince was the most adorable creature she had ever seen. The guinea pig quickly approached her and said, "Hello." And Alyssa said, "You are so handsome, Mr. Guinea Pig. You look like a royal prince. I'm sorry I don't have any more food. This is all the food I have now." The princely guinea pig answered, "Oh, that's okay. I like beans. Thank you so much for sharing your food with me. It makes me feel extra special that you'd share whatever you do have with me." The princely guinea pig said, "Alyssa, you are very kind, and kindness always counts." Alyssa said, "I'm glad you're here, Mr. Guinea Pig. I don't have so many friends because I always have to work and never have the energy to really go out and play." Alyssa and the guinea pig talked throughout the night. She told him all her secrets, all of her hopes and dreams. The handsome guinea pig listened to them all. And after a while, the guinea pig cuddled up next to her head, resting on her hand, and they both fell asleep. Suddenly, there was a loud thundering boom and flash that shook the tiny house. The wooden shutters crashed open. It startled Alyssa. She jumped up from her pallet and rushed to the open window. As the wind howled and poured in past her, nearly knocking her down. Her pallet blew across the room, and she quickly closed and bolted the shutters and went to pick up her pallet. She looked for it, but didn't see the guinea pig anywhere. She searched all over her tiny house and found him nowhere. Alyssa was sad. She spread her pallet back on the floor and cried herself back to sleep, believing it had all just been a dream. After a few hours had gone by, It was clear that it was almost morning. Alyssa tossed and turned. She didn't want to wake up yet, until strangely, Alyssa felt a chill in the room. She rolled over and opened her eyes. Somehow, her shutters were spread wide open. A beautiful tropical yellow bird flew inside and landed atop her head. It had in its beak a beautiful orange flower. It dropped it down next to her and flew to the windowsill and perched there and began a chirping, beautiful, happy melody. She smiled as he sat there chirping in the now warming morning sun. A beautiful blue bird joined the yellow bird, sitting in the window, chirping its own sound wildly. As Alyssa watched, the blue bird flew in and flew round and round over her head and then darted off near the place where she cooked her food. To her surprise, the beautiful bird landed on a beautiful blue new wooden table with 2 chairs. She could see that her name, Alyssa, was carved into the back of the chair. She was amazed. She could not imagine how the table and chairs got there and how it would have her name on it. She walked over and sat down at the table in disbelief. And she sat there. In flew 2 beautiful orange birds carrying a colossal orange bow with the biggest hibiscus flower Alyssa had ever seen. And the birds placed it on her head. Each of the orange birds flew down and landed on her fingers and pulled at them while flying up. And they chirped as if they wanted her to get up. The birds flew up until she stood up and followed them. Then all the birds flew into the room together, flying around and chirping and flying back and forth towards the closed door. Alyssa walked over and opened the door, and the birds quickly flew outside, resting on her laundry line and singing the most beautiful song, now all together in the same harmony. Alyssa saw hanging on her clothesline the most amazingly beautiful orange sundress to match the colossal orange hibiscus bow. Tucked inside the dress was a small black satin bag containing a silver necklace encrusted with diamonds. Alyssa quickly pulled off her old clothes and put on the lovely orange sundress. Next, she placed the diamond necklace around her neck. Alyssa was so excited. She ran down the beach to the water and looked down to see herself as a glorious apricot vision. What a beautiful Mexican princess she was! Alyssa danced along the edge of the water, watching her reflection. Suddenly, she heard an enormously loud and squeaky stampede of guinea pigs charging towards her. At the water, in front of the charging herd, she saw her friend, the handsome and princely guinea pig. And she ran to meet him and said, "It's you! It's you!" So it wasn't all a dream, just a dream come true. She picked him up and kissed him and said, "You are my greatest friend." And he said, "I brought all my friends to be your friends too." The name Alyssa means great joy and happiness. We can imagine that now Alyssa is, as her name describes, very happy. The end. Remember to always be kind. The Big Lake channel wants you to join our Kindness Counts campaign. Remember, it doesn't matter what you have or even how much you have. It just matters that you're willing to share what you have to help other people. When you are kind to others, it matters. People matter. You matter. Kindness counts. Be kind. Kindness is contagious. San Carlos means St. Charles. He was a hero of the early Roman Catholic Church. He's known for giving a large portion of his wealth to help the needy and the sick. Thank you for watching this video. Please come back tomorrow for another story. Goodbye. Please like and subscribe this video.